Welcome to the Fitness Oracle Daily Show. I am your host, John Katsavos, and today is Throwback Thursday. And we're going to go back into my past and talk about my aha moment when I figured all this out. It was with an amazing man who's no longer with us. He passed away too early, if you ask me. It was about 10 years ago. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. And I was just really starting to befriend Peter Chasen. And I was working at LA Fitness in Toronto, Don Mills. So there was a signature club at Don Mills. And I had a couple questions for him, and he just looked at me. He goes, "Why don't you come out for the weekend? Come to sign up to the program, and maybe you might pick up a couple things." He didn't tell me anything else. I'm like, sure, no problem. I wanted to take my training to the next level. I was curious about RTS. I knew a couple of other guys that have taken it, and they raved about it and how it changed their career path, how it changed their clients, how it changed everything for them. I'm like, all right, sure. And he told me he's going to be teaching it. So I signed up for it. It was pricey. Wasn't cheap. Wasn't a cheap program at all. Worth every single freaking penny. Let me say that. Let me just get that clear. That program, that course, worth every single cent. If you're a personal trainer and or a high performance coach or a high performance elite or athlete coach, you need to take this program. It will change everything. Before RTS, I was just like everybody else, listening to the jargon that listening and preaching all the jargon to everybody was preaching about at the time, isolated training, functional training, and was some other ones, isolated movements and functional and all this garbage. I'm like, wow. After taking this program, I'm like, oh, my favorite one, to not allow the knee go past the toe while you're doing a squat because it'll induce shear effects on the knee. Wow. Yeah. Um, yeah. We're not going to get into that. That's an entire month right there of me just going off on that. But yeah, I was just like one of millions of trainers. And and I needed to stand out. I needed to be different. I needed to think differently than everybody else. It's just who I am. And I'm always curious about, figuring stuff out. And if it's a program that will help me figure it out, then it's a program that'll help me figure it out. So in the first weekend, Saturday, we were sitting down at the facility, and Peter was teaching, and it was like there was this one moment where we were talking about, common terms being used in the fitness industry. And one of them really stood out to me. And it was in the weirdest way. He had taken a 5-pound dumbbell and he asked us, "Does this weigh 5 pounds?" I was like, of course it weighs 5 pounds. What else would it weigh? It's 5 pounds. It's like, it's 5 pounds. There's 5 pounds of mass on the earth that is relative to the earth that is inside this object. I'm like, which means it's 5 pounds. Like, what if I took this up in outer space? Well, how much would it weigh? I was like, what? what? It would weigh nothing. It wouldn't weigh 5 pounds. He's like, but I thought it weighed 5 pounds. Like, that's when he had my full attention. I was like, what? WTF? Wow. I had the moment in my head. I'm like, everything I know, it just got thrown out the window. Everything. Everything I know. Everything that I know. I knew nothing. And he goes, let's take this a little bit further. I'm like, oh my God, what's he going to do now? He took that 5 pound dumbbell and he attached it to a fish weight. And you know the fish scales, like where you weigh the fish, that's what he attached it to. And he started throwing the dumbbell, doing a really fast bicep curl. And you just saw the fish scale needle just going all over the place, all over the place, like from 0 to 100, zero, or whatever the maximum weight was on that fish scale. And he's like, does this weigh 5 pounds? I'm like, you know, I don't, yeah, I don't know. I know it says 5 pounds on there. So that's what I'm going to go. He's like, there's 5 pounds of mass. But when you, put in like gravitational pull, like let's say you get somebody who does scuba diving or wants to be an astronaut, you know, or suborbital, whatever. Just because the mass is there doesn't mean the weight is there. And that's what he was trying to um, explain to us. And then he started to get even deeper with moment arms and speed, and how speed affects the actual muscle, and what happens to the muscle when you introduce speed training to it with mass. And I was just absolutely blown away. Now, getting back to this whole part of, you know, of this week and not going too far off topic, there was another part that we were talking about when it came to moment arms and levers with pivot points and force and application of force. And I know this sounds really, 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 really sciencey and everything, but I have to explain it to you guys in this way, because to help you understand that just because it says 5 pounds on the rack doesn't mean that you're experiencing 5 pounds of force across the joints and through the muscle. And it's dependent on a lot of different variables. One variable that we can't change here on Earth is gravity. Anywhere you go on the face on the planet, it's 9.8. It's 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the amount of force that's being pulled on us on the planet Earth. Can't get away from it, unless you go to space or you go to the bottom of the sea. That's the only time where that changes. So 5 pounds is 5 pounds. Safe to say. Speed also affects the amount of torque and the amount of force that's going through the joint and across the muscle in the range of motion that we have allotted ourselves. This is another topic that we're going to get into another time when we get into stretch, when I start talking about the stretching. I have another real problem with stretching. It's not, anyways. So in order for us to be able, and I've said this before, in order for us to be able to support our joints and keep our body intact, is because we have other muscles that have to become a part of it, a part of that movement. If it's a bicep curl, for example, your fingers have to be strong enough to help hold that 5 pound weight, okay, in your hand. your muscles in your hand and your forearm also have to be strong enough in order for you to hold that. Not just that, but also to help flex your arm. And you have two bones in here, or I'm not going to go into full detail. I'm not going to go into full detail. I'm just going to do the arm, forearm and upper arm, and a little bit of the shoulder, just a little bit. So bear with me. So there's muscles on the back part that are stretching. I'm using air quotes. They're elongating, but there's also tension there, not for three reasons. One, not to allow the wrist to explode. Two, not to allow the two bones in your forearm to explode. And three, not to allow the elbow to pop out that way. As you're coming up, your elbow wants to go that way. So let's, for those of you watching, as I come up towards my head, my elbow here wants to go this way. I have muscles here that prevent it, and I also have the tricep that prevents it. I am not just working bicep. I am working fingers, hand, forearm, and upper arm. Not just that, but because depending on the position of my shoulder, my entire shoulder, anterior, medial, posterior, deltoid have to fire. Keep it strong. The pec has to fire. The trap has to fire. The lat has to fire. All the rotator cuff muscles have to fire. Rhomboids have to fire to keep the shoulder blade intact. Everything has to fire in order for me to do one simple bicep curl. What's the difference? The difference is the amount of tension being placed, which is dictated by the nervous system and the thought process of the movement that I want to conduct. What does that mean? My brain tells my body, I want to flex my hand right to my shoulder. So it has this internal firing pattern already wired up saying, these are the guys that I have. These are all the supporting guys that I have. Let's do this. It does it in a matter of milliseconds. So that's what that course taught me. And I'll be honest with you. In a nutshell, it took me a while to be able to comprehend all that information. It was about 3 weekends. It was a 3-month course, 3 weekends, 1 weekend a month. Great course. Like I said, it changed everything that I did as a trainer. I remember walking into work, and one of my clients asked me, he goes, "What are we doing today?" I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't I don't know. I have no clue. Um, let's do some stuff and hopefully you don't get hurt. He's like, "What the hell am I paying you for?" I'm like, "I don't know." I go, "Everything that I knew last weekend, just I don't know. I don't know anything." And I saw Peter that week. That week, I saw him. He walked into the gym. He walked into the LA Fitness, that gym, and I told him, I'm like, "Peter, I'm so lost right now. I have no idea what I'm doing." He looks at me. He goes, "One, that's a good start, but two, don't tell your clients that." Like, too late. I already did. He's like, "Oh, John, no, man, no, don't do that." So we were talking, and he gave me a couple tips and how to I won't say lie to my clients, but more on the lines of trying to give them a better experience in the gym and trying to explain it to them the best way possible for me at the time. Now for me, it's a little bit more. I can explain it a little bit more because I've been doing it for 10 years. Wow, 10 years. And things are a little bit easier for me to explain because it's not that I have more knowledge. It's just that I understand the concepts a little bit better. And yeah, that was I feel bad for those clients. On the plus side, I mean, I got a slew of knowledge. And tomorrow's TGIF Hot Friday. We're going to get into you can already understand why I hate the term isolation and why it's not true. And we're going to get into that even more deeper tomorrow. You guys got a lot of information from today, and tomorrow you're going to see why I hate it and the argument that I've had with multiple trainers as to why they should stop using it. And yeah, it's just tomorrow's gonna be a good day. Good day. Uh, with that, I want to thank you for watching this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and share. If you are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, or iHeartRadio, or whatever streaming service that you're using, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, as it will help us reach out to more people that are suffering from mental health issues. Before you go, I'd like to invite you to keep the conversation going by signing up to your free account in PodInBox. Over the years, we have discovered that in order for us to achieve the greatness that we're destined for, we can't do it alone. To find your place back in this world, we've come across this amazing tool called PodInBox, where we can get together and discuss this topic even deeper. All you have to do is click on the link in the show notes and sign up for your free account and find out for yourself how powerful community really is. Until tomorrow, you guys have an awesome day.